Imagine someone placed before you everything money could buy: a beautiful home, financial security, freedom from worry. The kind of future most people spend their entire lives chasing. Would that finally be enough? Most of us never stop to ask that question because we are too busy trying to reach it. But thousands of years ago, one woman was offered exactly that. And instead of accepting it, she asked a question so piercing that it has echoed through the centuries. Her name was Maitreyi. Some moments don't announce themselves. They feel ordinary until later when you realize they split your life in two. For Yajnavalkya, this was one such moment. He was not a poor man. He had built a life most people would call complete. 2 wives, a household, a name respected far beyond his village. And then, one day he decided to leave all of it. He was leaving for the forest, to live as a renunciate, to give up everything he had spent a lifetime building. Before he left, there was one final matter to settle: his wealth, his household. What would happen to the 2 women he was leaving behind? He called them both, Maitreyi and Katyayani, and told them he intended to divide everything he owned between them. It should have been a simple conversation. For Katyayani, it was simply her share, a generous one. Maitreyi did not move. The offer was generous, enough wealth to live comfortably for the rest of her life. For most people, the conversation would have ended there. But Maitreyi wasn't thinking about comfort. She looked at Yajnavalkya and asked quietly, "If this whole earth filled with wealth belonged to me, would it make me immortal?" It was an astonishing question. She wasn't asking for more. She wasn't bargaining for a larger share. She wanted to know whether anything money could buy could ever satisfy what the human heart truly longs for. Yajnavalkya answered plainly. "No," he said. "Wealth would make you secure. It may give you the life of those who have abundance, but there is no hope of immortality through wealth." In that moment, the conversation stopped being about possessions. It became a search for something no possession could ever give. Maitreyi was silent for a moment. The answer was clear. If wealth could not give what she truly sought, then what value did it really have? She looked at Yajnavalkya and said, "Then what shall I do with that which cannot make me immortal?" She wasn't rejecting wealth because it was wrong. She was letting go of it, because it could never answer the question that mattered most to her. Then she made a different request. "Teach me instead. Teach me what you know." Everything changed. She was no longer asking for a share of his possessions. She was asking to share his wisdom. Yajnavalkya turned to Maitreyi. He knew she was no longer asking about wealth. She was asking about life itself. So he began to answer, not with an argument, but by pointing her towards something she had always experienced, yet perhaps never noticed. He said, "It is not for the sake of the husband that the husband is dear, but for the sake of the self. It is not for the sake of the wife that the wife is dear, but for the sake of the self." One by one, he spoke of children, wealth, the world, and everything we hold close. Each time, the answer was the same. Nothing is loved entirely for its own sake. Everything is loved because in some mysterious way it is connected to the deepest self within us. Yajnavalkya rose after he finished speaking. He had given Maitreyi what she had asked for, not a fortune, but everything he knew. And still he left. Not because the teaching was a farewell gift, not because it had settled anything between them. He had always intended to. What was different now was what she had and what she no longer needed. Maitreyi watched him walk toward the forest, carrying nothing, while she stayed behind, carrying more than she had that morning. The conversation ended, but Maitreyi's question never really did. Across the centuries, it has quietly found its way into every human life. How much is enough? How much must I achieve? How much must I possess before I finally feel complete? The question was never whether wealth is wrong. The real question was this: could wealth truly answer what we seek most deeply? Could anything that changes ever satisfy what deep within us longs for the unchanging? That day, Maitreyi chose understanding over possession. And because she did, her question still invites each of us to look within. Not for what we have, but for what we have been seeking all along. If this reflection resonated with you, you may subscribe to this channel to explore more timeless wisdom here, not as stories of the past, but as mirrors for our own lives. Om Tat Sat.